Okay, so this will probably take 20 minutes or so. The first thing is to just get as comfortable as you can where you're sitting. You might want to move around a little bit, reposition yourself, loosen anything that's kind of a little too tight, whatever you want to do. Make sure your phone's on mute so you won't be interrupted. It's not the end of the world. You can easily be interrupted and find your way right back to where you were surprisingly easily. But yeah, it's better not to be. And of course, if at any point during this time you want to move, feel free to do that. There are no rules about this. So again, just allow yourself to do what's right for you. The one thing I would say is that if you meditate or do some mindfulness practice, you will notice that some of this is similar, but you hopefully will also notice that at a particular point, there's a turn in focusing that is different from at least most forms of mindfulness and meditation. The other thing that might be slightly different about focusing is that in focusing, we really want the attention to be down in your body, and that takes a bit of time. It's not like being up in your head looking down there. It's actually allowing your attention, your awareness to actually be down with the feeling in your chest or your stomach or whatever. And developing a relationship with what you find there. The last thing I want to say is just there's nothing pushy about this. Nothing special has to happen. We're not trying for some goal or outcome. If the only thing that happens is you spend 20 minutes actually just in touch with yourself, for some of us, that's something we haven't done for decades. So that in itself might feel welcome. Okay. So because we're on Zoom, we have this other option of, if you want to, of course you don't have to, you could turn your camera off if that makes you feel more comfortable. Feel free to do that. We can turn them back on later. But if it's okay, you can also just close your eyes. That's usually helpful. It helps bring your attention inside, helps you to tune out some of the distractions of the world. So maybe starting just by taking a couple of deep breaths. Maybe closing your eyes if that feels right for you, or maybe just looking down at something neutral, or turning your camera off if that's a better solution. Something that helps you just kind of signal to yourself that this is about you being with you. So a couple of deep breaths just to breathe away any excess anxiety about starting this 2 days together. Anything else that's going on for you this morning that you need to just kind of take a couple of breaths just to get some space from. And then just allow yourself to begin to settle into your body. Just to begin to feel that you are physically present in some way. Your whole body is here right now. Maybe just becoming aware of that. And as you become more aware of your physical body, just checking again to see if your posture and your position is as comfortable as it can be. And of course, if you need to move, feel free to do that. Yeah. Then when you feel ready, just begin to invite your attention to come down from your head or your thinking or the room or wherever it is now. Just inviting your attention to begin to slowly come down into the whole middle part of your body, especially. You might find that your attention wants to come down into the throat area. You might find your attention wants to come down into the chest somewhere. You might find your attention wants to come down deeper into your stomach or your abdomen. It doesn't matter where your attention wants to come, just invite it to come down in there somewhere. It could be outside of that middle area, that's fine too. It's just the middle areas where we normally feel things. So just seeing where your attention really wants to come to down inside of yourself this morning. And just let it come to rest someplace. And then with your attention down inside of yourself somewhere, perhaps there might already be something there. It's quite likely you might already feel some kind of a feeling there. And you could also invite a feeling just by saying to yourself down inside, how am I this morning? What does it feel like to be me? And that might be a way of inviting a feeling if there wasn't one there already. As if the feeling comes in response to that question. Like, how am I really this morning? What's it feel like to be me right now? Just see what comes in response. Normally, what comes is a fairly subtle, kind of murky, hard to name kind of feeling. Kind of feeling that you might be able to ignore, but on this occasion, let's just welcome it. Yeah. So any feeling that you find down there in your body, especially the middle, see if you can just welcome it. And by that, I mean, allow it to be there the way it is. Give it some space to be there so it can kind of spread out a little if it wants to and get comfortable inside. Just make it feel kind of welcome. And then just sitting with it, just paying attention, being very open to it, not trying to change it. And if it feels okay, maybe just beginning to sense into the feeling. How would this feeling describe itself? Is there a word or a phrase, an image, a memory, something that would just describe the quality of this feeling in the body, the way it feels right now? So just asking right into the feeling, how would this feeling describe itself? As though the word or the image could come right from the body. If you get a word, an image, something that seems to fit the feeling, just check it back with the feeling, just to see if that resonates, if the feeling kind of does something as if to say, yeah, that's a pretty good word, or that's a good enough image, that fits how it feels. And then just staying with the feeling the way it is now. Maybe see if it's okay to just kind of acknowledge it more fully, almost like it's another person in there. Almost like saying right to the feeling, I know you're there. Just making that kind of connection so that the feeling feels like somebody in the world knows it's in there. Just notice how it feels just to acknowledge it, to actively acknowledge it. And then if it feels okay, You could invite the feeling to let you know, how is it feeling in there from its point of view? Like inside of itself, it might have its own emotion, its own mood, its own attitude towards things. Almost like it's another person in there, like asking it, how do you really feel in there from your side? Almost like, what's it really like to be you in there? Almost like it's another person. You get a sense of how it's feeling, let it know that you hear that. Just kind of say it back to the feeling, okay, that's how it is. I get that. It's a little sad, or it's a little cramped up, or it's a little too excited, or whatever it's feeling. Just let it know that you get that. And then one more thing that you could just see if it feels okay to try is to just kind of ask right into the feeling itself, is there anything that this part of me needs right now? Anything it needs to feel a bit more okay? Or if it's feeling okay, anything it needs to feel this more often? Anything that this feeling really needs from its point of view. And you'll probably quickly notice that it's different than asking yourself what you need. Here, we're really asking the feeling itself, what does this part of me need? And it could be anything. It doesn't even have to be possible, it can still need it. Anything that would make its existence better in some way. What is this part of me really needing? Yeah. If you get a sense of what it's needing, again, let it know that you hear that. Don't argue with it. Just say, okay, that's what you need. You might even notice that just acknowledging the need already gives you something, a little more space inside or something like that. So staying in contact with the feeling in your body, I'm going to just invite a couple more things. These things don't have to lead to anything. One of them is to just check down inside of yourself. Do you have a sense of what this connects to in your life? Is it already clear in some way what the life connection is for this feeling? It doesn't have to be there. It's just checking to see if it is there. And the last thing I would invite you to just check, and again, there doesn't have to be anything, is just to see if this feeling, if it has any sense of what might be one step in the right direction for it, something that could be a little bit different in your life, or just paying more attention to it, or any kind of a very, very small action step that would feel encouraging for this part of you on the inside. No big thing, just some small thing that would just indicate a different kind of relationship with it, or that you're taking it more seriously, or something like that. Just seeing if there's anything like that, a small step in life that would feel right for this part of you inside. And again, there doesn't have to be anything, just checking. Okay. And now I'd invite you to just begin to kind of spread out into the whole person that you are, including this place or these places. There could be more than one that you've been spending time with, just kind of broadening out into your whole being. And as you do that, maybe noticing where this feeling is in your body, and maybe one last thing that you felt from the feeling, a word, an image, something that would just help you get it back again. Like you would know where to go and look for it, and you would know what image or word resonates. Just noticing that as we begin to sort of settle more widely in ourselves. Okay, when you feel ready, you can kind of slowly make your way back into your room where you're sitting. Open your eyes if they were closed. Eventually, when you're ready, turn your camera back on. And after we do anything like that, I would always invite you to maybe have just a piece of paper that you could scribble down anything that came to you that you might not want to forget. A word, an image, something that you thought, well, that's interesting enough that I want to contemplate that a bit more, or think about it or something. It's good to just jot down things like that. I mean, sometimes I've got little scraps of paper that I carry around for days in my pocket. So this is a note for yourself. It's not for us or anybody else. I think that was exactly 20 minutes.